everybody. I am so excited about our sponsor for this month, the Experience Live with Russ and Scott. It's the Gillot Home Team and Laura Gillot. How are you doing, Laura?
I'm doing wonderful.
That is so awesome. You know, the Gillot Home Team is doing so much in real estate. Give us a snapshot of what you're up to.
Awesome. Well, last year we were able to help 551 families either buy or sell real estate. We love our community. We love our clients. Our mission is to deliver the keys to home ownership through stellar customer service, integrity, and joy. And we're looking to help even more folks this year.
That is so awesome. You know, if you want a team that is there for you, it's the Gillot Home Team and Laura Gillot. And thanks so much, Laura, for your sponsorship.
Hey.
Ta-da! It is another wonderful Wednesday morning with D. Scott Smith. Man, I couldn't get my day started better.
Russ, what's fun? You know, you've got so much energy. I love just starting these days, these Wednesdays. I look forward to the middle of the week. And I'll tell you, I'm a member of a nonprofit board. We had our annual strategic meeting last night, actually yesterday. 5.5 hours from 3 p.m. until 8:30 at night. And I know that's not your peak hours, but I could have used your enthusiasm about 5:30.
Well, definitely my energy and my enthusiasm is best in the morning. And if I do have to do those in the evening, like we were talking about last night, I did have something later, lots of coffee. And activity to keep myself moving. So sitting down and relaxing is not a good way to end the day because usually that's sleepy time. So,
well, what have you got going on? What have you got going on this week? I know you've been doing workshops, and of course, you have the new workbook out, the companion to Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose.
That's it. Yeah. Oh, I mean, it is. I am not sitting still. That is for sure. Lots going on. You know, it's been a blessed week, really, of just connecting with some new people, some new opportunities. And yeah, I'm just really excited about all this coming up. I do have a book signing this Saturday locally at Willamette Valley Christian Supply from 11 to 2. That's in Albany, in the Albany, Oregon, if I can say that, in the Heritage Mall. And then, and I'm promoting my new workbook that released an ebook form on Amazon. So you get a free copy of the workbook with every book purchased. Yeah. Also, there's one the following weekend in Staten, Oregon. And that one is 11 to 1. And same thing there at the Marketplace at the Grove in Staten. So looking forward to those. Lots of other stuff going on. How about you, Scott?
Well, speaking of your workbook, we're going to be live on Amazon, you and I.
Yes.
Next, so we will be there Tuesday the 22nd at 1 p.m. broadcasting live on Amazon. So you can find that at motivationallistener.live. And in fact, I've got 2 more of these author interviews. I've got Matt Rouse today, and then also Mary Lou Kaiser. So if you go to motivationallistener.live, you can see the scheduled times for those. But Matt is at 9:30 Pacific, and Mary Lou Kaiser is at 2 p.m. Her book is Leadership Limericks, and you'll definitely want to tune in for that. Let me just read one of these leadership limericks. How about George Bernard Shaw? A life spent making mistakes is more honorable than one with no stakes. Get rewarded for trying, not sitting around crying. Many attempts is what great success makes. So leadership limericks.
That's
with
awesome.
Mary Lou Kaiser today.
Yeah,
and
that's so
Friday. It's the virtual global tea break with my friend Alan Hennessy as we co-host that monthly networking time. So if people want to get on a global stage, go to globalteabreak.com.
I can't tell you what a blessing that group is. And if you want to meet some fabulous people in other parts of the world, the Global Tea Break is a place to go. I have made so many blessed friendships because of Scott, you getting me involved with that way back at the beginning of the pandemic or right before the pandemic. I can't remember.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Yeah. So anyway,
And
well,
it's also
listen.
led to the Business Builder Throwdown, which I do tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific time with Matt Rouse and Holly Jean Jackson, who are also both part of the Global Tea Break.
Yeah, two great individuals.
Lots going on.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, if you're sitting still and you need stuff to do, tune into what Scott and I are doing because we can get you moving. There you go. All right. Well, listen, speaking of moving, we're going to bring our first guest in. So Michael Bryant, I cannot say enough about this man. Besides being a wonderful man, and I've been able to develop a friendship with Michael over the last year plus. He is amazing. He is amazing. He is the Unstucker, and I'm not going to tell you anymore. I'm just going to bring him in. Here comes Michael Bryant, the Unstucker. There he is. Woo!
Morning. How are you?
How's it going? How's it going, Michael?
Fantastic. How about you guys?
Good. Excellent. Excellent. So, you know, I know all about you. I know about the amazing things that you do. And I want you to give everybody a little snapshot into your world, into where you've really come from and what you've been doing and what you're up to now.
So, yeah, well, thank you. So I have a consulting business. Described myself years ago as a professional unstucker. So basically, I kind of look around at the world and kind of see what's going on. I've had an interest-driven business for 40 years. By that, I mean I find things that interest me and I incorporate them into my business. And so, you know, as my interests have evolved, so has the business. So sort of what's happening right now is really what's kind of relevant. So there's a couple of areas where people are stuck. One of the places where I spend a great deal of time is the whole issue of people's ability to communicate and connect in the workplace. And it's really about, more than anything else, the acceptance of difference. That's really the hardest thing for people to get over. I mean, it's really hard to understand how somebody else can be so them, how they can think what they think. And, you know, I mean, and what we'd all really like them to be is kind of a little bit more version of us, because it would make it a lot easier, you know. So, you know, that's the, but what's really sort of topical in terms of where people are stuck right now is how in the world are they going to transition out of where they've been to what's going to happen next. That's the big area right now where my focus is. It kind of evolved, you know, pretty naturally because, you know, we had this thing last March where the world was sort of, you know, put on its head, and a lot of people shut down. We began to, you know, hunker down at home. Now, for some of us was easier. I mean, you know, I've had an office in my home for 40 years, so that adjustment took about a nanosecond, and I was sort of like, oh, like what I did yesterday, like that's fine, you know, and you know, then had to very quickly pivot, you know, to become a Zoom meister, and then, you know, to, you know, do great things like, you know, meeting you, Russ, and getting on these platforms and all those kind of things. But I was far from the only one. You know, we're very adaptable creatures, we humans. And so people adapted. Now, here we are about 18 months into the flight. And as people are opening up, what I'm telling people is that you are asking people to alter a lifestyle. You're not asking them just to go back to work. You're right. Some people have figured this out, and it's working very well. Thank you very much. And so what's happening is there's been, you know, there's always all kinds of studies and research on this. The research is indicating, the latest one I saw, that about 25% of the people that responded to the survey said they want to go back just the way it was, and almost all of them are baby boomers. So we have about 4 different generations working together right now. So what I'm advising my people to do is to treat this more like a restaurant opening. And first of all, I'm having people poll the audience. What would you like? You know, what do you want? You want to come back all the time? You want to come back part of the time? The chief people officer at Ford Motor Company, where 30,000 people were working from home, has basically said, I don't care what you do. Get your work done. Figure it out as a team. Get your stuff done. I don't care. A lot of people are like, oh, I want us back. I want us back because we did this. So what I'm suggesting people do, and it goes back to communicating and connecting, is to have this conversation about sort of, tell me about your world right now. We've really been entering into each other's lives much more at work than we ever were before. So this ability to separate my work's over here and my life's over here, they got all blended together. So I'm having people ask 2 or 3 basic questions. So what do you like about working from home? What do you miss about coming in the office? To get you to be as productive as you can be, what do you need? What do we need to do? And to really begin to engage in these things, because Wall Street Journal had an article a couple of days ago. I don't know if people saw it, but like people are like quitting. I've had numbers of clients that have been interviewing for positions, and the interviewee is starting the conversation with, "So, can I work remote?" No. Okay, thank you very much. And, have a nice day, and away we go. So this is the area where I'm finding people are really needing help in getting unstuck. Is how do you do this? What I'm telling people is like, look, why don't you just say, we don't know what we're doing? You're held harmless. Nobody knows what they're doing. We're just making it up. One of the things that we adults do that gets us in problems is we like to act like we're pretty cool and we know what we're doing. We don't. We get up every day, make it up. Some days we make it up so well, it actually looks like we know what we're doing, but we know we're making it up. Some days the actual day actually ends sort of like we thought it was going to. But most of the time, there's like these adventures thrown in. So I'm just telling people, look, all you got to do, get together with your team and say, I don't know. I've never done this before. Like, what do you think? Like, what do you want to do?
That's so true, Michael. I tell you that it is like a whole new world, right? It is like a whole new world of what's going on out there. And people are finding that the real bottom line is, can we be productive in the environment we are? Is this working? And that gets into whether they're truly profitable. And that, talking about money, reminds me of our next guest, David Gwynn, who I'm just going to bring into the conversation. And here he comes. Hey, David.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, David.
I think I've got a feedback here.
Uh-oh.
Major, yeah.
There we go. How's that?
Right.
That's it. There was 2 of you online. That must have been why.
Yeah.
He's using the big voice on you.
Right. Actually, I was coming from outer space, but then no. I appreciate Michael's comments. Yeah, the issue of profitability and the issue of helping people recover. In my world, it's helping businesses recover and adapt from the pandemic has been kind of job one for me. I work with lots of business owners, lots of entrepreneurs, lots of folks that are visionary with regard to their businesses nationwide. And one of the things that I've kind of noticed is a willingness on the part of people to try new ways of addressing problems. And like Michael is saying, in terms of, becoming unstuck, a lot of these businesses certainly need help getting unstuck with regard to their business administrative as well as operational issues. And the vehicle that I've found over my 35 plus years in business, working with entrepreneurs and even helping take some companies public, is the issue of utilizing a vehicle, in this case, a professional employer organization or PEOs, to help streamline the process between a business that might not be as competitive as it wants to be, maybe not as profitable, or that may have problems attracting and retaining top quality talent on their teams. The PEO business model I've found as being a tremendous way of accomplishing that. And my aspect in terms of that is helping people get matched to the right PEO for their particular needs. So I speed that process somewhat like kind of like a fishing guide. I went fishing for my birthday with my dad a couple of weeks ago down on the Umpqua River, which is a great fishing stream if you've ever gone. But the cool thing when you go with a fishing guide is you don't have to worry about figuring out where the fish are. You don't have to worry about where they're biting. You don't have to worry about, where to set the hook or where to spend your time locating the fish. The guide knows all that and turns what can be a laborious experience into a glorious, outcome, and maximizing the use of your time. So that's what I do, is basically help people save a tremendous amount of time and trouble in getting unstuck with regard to their businesses.
I love I love what Michael was saying earlier about we want people to be like us. And I don't know why my wife laughs when I say this, but I said I often think that the world would be a better place if more people were like me. Yeah, there you guys are laughing too. I don't know why it is, but I believe that. David, I've worked with a lot of startup businesses over the years, and it's always, well, not always, but it's so often about the technology, about what that solution is to a particular problem. And when I look at the teams that get built, very rarely is that people person front and center.
Mm-hmm.
That's a later on thought,
Right.
but it's such a critical part to get the right talent, and as you say, to retain the talent.
Right.
And it may not be a skill set that you bring into your company, but through a person like yourself, you can find the right source so that you can find, manage, and retain
Right.
the top employees.
Right. Yeah, that you hit it right on the head. The thing about it is that when you start a business, you're really and I'm going to bring in the term evangelist. When a visionary starts a business, they tend to be the chief evangelist to really selling the vision of the business to the overall marketplace. But what a lot of entrepreneurs find out pretty quickly is if you want to run a business compliantly, and I'm talking about being in alignment with federal, state, and local laws, regulations, reporting requirements, taxes, the whole 9 yards, it can take your time away from what you're not only what you're really good at, but also what makes you money. So is it any wonder that most entrepreneurial businesses fail within the first 2 years? The beautiful thing about utilizing the PEO business model is that businesses that utilize the services of a PEO are 4 to 7% more profitable. They tend to have 10 to 15% less turnover, and they're 50% less likely to go out of business in that 2-year time frame than a business that uses a PEO. So this is kind of like the secret sauce to the longevity of a business and allowing a business owner to focus on what they're good at, what they love doing, and not on all the stuff that, drags you down.
I love it because it's the perfect combination with David and Michael, because you're bringing this tool set, and then Michael can say, maybe you guys should just talk to each other and figure out, you can focus on that instead of all this other stuff, right?
Right, exactly.
Yes, it's really one of the things we do is we're actually very good at talking at each other. The thing we're not particularly good at doing as a motivational listener, I'm sure you can relate to this, Scott, is we're not really good at listening, as in like don't talk, listen, like don't say anything, listen. It's very difficult to do. And what happens is that I think one of the things that I focus with people is that probably the most important thing in terms of connecting with somebody is to have healthy boundaries. And so boundaries are things like, as before we all got on the air together, we all were playing a movie in our heads. We're playing movies all day. We have a movie going on. And what happens is, if I want to talk to you, Russ, and I don't acknowledge that you're actually doing something. You're not the information desk at the mall waiting for somebody to come by and talk to you. You're doing something. I need to tell you something. Is now a good time? Just to respect your boundary. There's 2 or 3 reasons we don't do that. One is we just don't think to do it. The other is we think it is a good time, but the main reason is we don't care if it's a good time. We want to say something, so we just barge in and say something to each other. And then, I said this to a client yesterday. I said, imagine you were at the theater. Remember the movies? We used to go to the movies. Remember that? You would actually go to a building and they would show on a big screen a movie. Remember that?
I read about those in the history books.
Remember that? Yeah. I said, imagine there was a movie that you were really looking forward to. You get to the movie, they're showing a movie, and somebody projects on your screen another movie with another soundtrack. Just imagine that's what happens when we talk to somebody without checking it out. Like, is this a good time? And particularly now, when people are dealing with so many unknowns right now, this whole thing of working remotely was coming anyway. It just got, like, particularly in the knowledge economy, it just got basically put at warp speed right now. So, people are thinking about this a lot. They're thinking about what they need and what to do and how they're going to interact with each other. And just to say to somebody, so I have some ideas, like, it's just a good time to talk to you about that.
Mhm.
You'll get a lot more. I said to somebody the other day, they said, well, do I have to make like an appointment to talk to people? And I'm like, well, that kind of, but not exactly. Why do I have to do that? I said, well, I assume that when you are saying something, the reason you want somebody to listen is because you're talking. I mean, I don't think it's really deep, and if they're not in a place where they can listen to you, you're not going to get your need met. Because they'll either begrudgingly listen to you or they'll do the listening thing. The listening thing where you're going like, you're not going to work. Said, yeah, 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 I got that. And you're thinking like, so are we done yet? Are you like going to be moving? Are we done with this? So it's really the ability to say, we need a little structure sometime to do this because we don't naturally know how to do this. We're all human beings. What's called symbiotic. We're all caught in the maze of our own heads. Thinking our own thoughts and thinking other people think what we think. To your point that about your wife, Scott, it's like we don't want people to be us. We want them to be a them version of us. They can be them. They just need to be more us in their themness is what it is. And it'll be so much easier when we have to explain things. They just understand us.
Yeah, I think that that's something really we all really need to think about when you're talking about boundaries and you're talking about connection and communication through being intentional in respecting and listening to others.
Yeah.
Something that I'm the first to raise my hand that I need to work at because I am a forge ahead kind of guy. I bust in. And the biggest problem is honestly, the people that are closest to us are the people that we respect the time least because we just expect they want us. And my beautiful wife occasionally reminds me that I need to say, hey, do you have a second to chat when I come busting in?
Right.
And so that's important.
Yeah. And we oftentimes will say to people, do you have a minute? I'll be like, is that a dog minute? Or is that like a 60-second minute? No. Do you have like a 20-minute minute? Well, why don't you ask me? Well, because you didn't give me 20 minutes, so I'll just say a minute and I'll just steal the other 19. It's like, no, like ask for what you want. I mean, it's much, it's a much healthier kind of environment to be able to do. But to your point, Russ, yeah, we do that. The people that we're closest to, that we feel like we can get away with the most from, that will forgive us the most. But it's really those people that say, listen, that person's time is not less important than ours. Right. And unwittingly, that's what we say. Hey, I don't care what you're doing. I just care what I'm doing. But really, like not so much. So yeah, it's so, and particularly now when we're dealing with like really touchy subjects like this, it's really helpful to say, hey, so I've been thinking about some ways that we might get back in. It is now a good time. Well, no, I can't talk to you right now. I can talk to you in an hour, but but right now, and because then you're more likely to be heard.
Yeah. Scott?
It's this whole active listening, right?
Yeah.
And so many of us have been through training about this, and we think we understand it, but we still don't practice it. And we end up trying to think, what do we want to say? How am I gonna wedge in what I want to say? Right. And just let our brains steamroll over the message of that other person. We miss out so much.
We do. And I think in finances, David, don't you think that is super important to be listening to good financial advice, right?
Well, certainly it makes a lot of sense to listen to, really well-informed financial advice, but typically financial advice is best when that person or that advisor actually chooses to listen first before they pontificate on whatever it is that they're looking to talk about. In terms of listening, today is the Fed meeting and everybody in financial services is waiting on pins and needles to find out what Jerome Powell and the Fed have to say about inflation and whether they're going to raise interest rates and all these other things. And the reason why that's important is that affects us in terms of a macro sense. But, to your point about, the listening piece, one of the things that, I learned over the course of my career, I've had the good fortune of being involved in some very working with some very learned and powerful and experienced people. And one of the people that I had the good fortune of meeting during the course of my lifetime was the late Senator Barry Goldwater. And he and his wife, when I lived in Arizona, had invited me and some of my friends over to their house to make me chili for my 26th birthday. And during the course of that conversation, which was, relating some of Barry's history with the Air Force and helping with, his time in the Senate and his time as a presidential candidate and things along the lines of, his interaction with people on both sides of the aisle, was a conversation that he, had with us as a group. And the question was, well, who was your hero growing up? Mm-hmm. And so I was thinking to myself, well, I'm going to get annihilated here because my hero growing up was John F. Kennedy. And so his conversation comes around and Barry says, so David, who was your idol? And I said, well, John F. Kennedy was the person I always followed. And he brightens up. He says, David, I love John Kennedy. Mm-hmm. John F. Kennedy and we'd fight like hell on the floor of the Senate. But after it was over with, we and our wives would go out to dinner. We socialized. We'd go to each other's houses, and we'd attend each other's kids' birthday parties. I love John Kennedy. I was absolutely floored that this guy was the arch representative of the Republican Party at the time, but yet he had a wonderful relationship with somebody on the other side of the aisle. And I think it's refreshing to kind of keep that in perspective that we can really go forward as a country if we can listen to one another, and we can really do phenomenal things if we just get out of each other's way. So it's wow. Kind of amazing, but it all definitely comes down to listening. So.
Yeah, that is a great story. And, I think that listening, I was a communications major in college, and of all the classes that I took, most of them taught you how to speak and how to do other things. And I had one class on listening. I'm surprised they even had that. And that is, the old adage, we have 2 ears and one mouth. We need to listen twice as much as we really need to listen about 3/4 as much as we talk.
Right.
And some of us that have a fear of silence because we talk so much, when it gets silent, all of a sudden it's like, okay, I got to say something, right?
Right.
We need to learn to be better listeners because it makes connection in life so much better when we're listening and caring about each other.
Right.
So guys,
how we learn, right? This is when we hear and we learn. We don't learn when we're speaking. So
we want
to be a lifelong learner. Then
we have classes in public speaking. There are no classes in public listening. One of the first things we ask somebody about their child is, are they talking yet? Nobody says, are they listening yet? So we put all of this emphasis. And no wonder we're much better at talking without listening. Where all the focus is, And to your point was people tend to learn very little with their mouth open. Just very little. There's just not much learning that takes place. And also, if we're not listening, we're going to make assumptions. It's the only other alternative we have. And if you assume something, the math will kill you. The odds that in any situation we've guessed the right reason why somebody's doing something is microscopically accurate. More often than not, we're going to go off on some tangent and then react to something they didn't even do or they didn't even say. We have these conversations with people that aren't in the room. We do their lines in our land, and then by the time we get the conversation with them that they don't know we're having, heat it up, and we actually see them personally. Now we're mad at them about what? This because I was going to talk to you. You were going to say this, and I know when you say this. They're like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I wasn't actually there. So there's all kinds of mischief we can get into.
Well, because we're assuming, and we've already decided what's going on. When you keep talking and you're not listening, you've already made a decision on what they're going to say and what's going to happen. And so listen, I am the one that gets to wrap things up here, and we are actually out of time. So I want to give you both last words and then your contact information, because we have loved having both of you on. This has been a great discussion today. And I want to make sure that people remember and know how to get in contact with both of you. So David, let's go with you first.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me today. Russ and Scott, it's been a pleasure, and Mark, it's been a pleasure meeting you. And I can be reached at David G at MyOpenPEO, which is MYOPENPEO.com. That's the name of the company is Open PEO Advisors. And in an era where we're kind of starved for attention in a digital world, one of the things that I really try to focus on is helping my clients overcome the challenges that have, the pandemic has brought about for us, and that, they want to be more successful as a business. And we help to expedite that process and putting them in contact with experts that can really make things so much better for them. It's amazing the impact it has on businesses as well as their employees from a success standpoint. So again, thank you so much for inviting me. It's really been a pleasure.
You bet. Thank you so much, David. And Michael?
Oh, yeah. So, it's nice meeting you, David, and Scott, and nice seeing you again always, Russ. So thank you for having me on. So my website is unstucker.com, and it's Michael at unstucker.com. So that's pretty easy. And I would just say, moving forward as we come out of this thing, I think it's just a great idea to maintain a sense of curiosity about the people that we're talking to and about the situation we're dealing with. You'll get so much more information. You'll be able to collaborate and create with other people so much more effectively. So I just encourage people to ask a lot of questions, listen to what people say, and stay curious.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, listen, thank you both so much. It has been awesome. I appreciate you both, really. And this is a friendship and a connection that's going to go on. I want to stay in touch with you guys, and I know Scott as well. Michael already knows that because we've been on and off for the last year plus. So I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
And David, I'm probably going to need some of your advice sometime soon. So there we go.
You bet.
All right, guys. Well, listen, thanks so much. And we're going to send you back to the green room. Hang on just a sec. We'll talk to you in a minute.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Well, always such a great experience. Boy, I tell you, you get David and Michael together. We could just go on because
I know.
There's so much we can learn by listening to them.
The experience of life is amazing. And that's what I love about this show and about the guests we bring on, because really being a guest-driven, experience-driven show and letting the guests bring out what's going on in their lives is so interesting. And I learn from it every time. And, I love that what Michael wrapped up with, the curiosity of listening. And, I think that when we are more curious at how we can make things better, because I always believe we are better together instead of deciding what's already should happen in our mind. I think life is so much better when we live that way.
I love the curiosity. I was actually reading some research. There's been very little research actually into curiosity itself, but fascinating subject. And I agree. We need to remain curious.
Absolutely. Well, that is a wrap on another show, and we just love being here. Spread the word. Tell your friends. Share this. It is so much fun, and we would love to meet you. And if you are a curious and interesting person that wants to share the experience of life, connect with me, connect with Scott. We were scrolling our information across the screen during the show, but just in case you missed it, it's russhedge.com and dscottsmith.com. Pretty simple stuff. So
easy to remember.
Yeah. So
Russ, I enjoy this every week. You're such a great friend and a fabulous co-host. Thank you for running all the tech side on this. I appreciate that so much.
You bet. It's fun. Until we see you guys again, have a wonderful day and a wonderful life. Bye-bye.
Experience.